Before we move to the public comment, Julia, can you please walk us through today's agenda?
Yes, absolutely. After public comment, we have the approval of the minutes from the September PSC meeting. We have some exciting updates on HR1. We have the update on SUAs and our work groups, as well as some of the other activity going on here at the project. Release and policy updates. We have our baseline 2611 release and also some upcoming priority releases that the team will go over. Benefits Cal, we have the HR1. You're going to hear a theme for the foreseeable future. Priority update from Benefits Cal, as well as some of the upcoming enhancements that have been in flight for a while. California statewide automated welfare system learning exchange, and then the transition update for our M&E, the monthly performance trends, and then we're going to get updates from our hopefully. A lot of updates coming from our state partners on a few areas, and then we will adjourn the meeting.
Thank you. At this time, is there any public comment? If members of the public can speak on any item not listed on the agenda for a period of 3 minutes, those that require translation or other assistance can have up to 6 minutes for their public comment. Members of the public can also speak on any item that's on the agenda when that item is called and recognized by the chair. At this moment, do we have any public comment? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and go into the next item.
All right, so we have the approval of the minutes from the September PSC meeting. Oh, actually. Okay, Miss Peggy.
Yes.
We have the action item on the research related to expanding the police sessions to more than 500 participants.
Yes, so this is follow-up that we could accommodate up to 1,000 call-ins on the session. However, when we get up that far, then we start might experience some issues with audio and video. So we just wanted everyone to be aware of that, but we can accommodate more than 500. In the responses that we've received thus far, CRFI, we're anticipating between 4 and 500 folks per session.
Okay. And those sessions are recorded, so they're accessible. Okay. Any questions related to that action? Oh, public comment, sorry.
Here we go. Is there any public comment at this moment regarding the update that was just provided? Seeing and hearing now, we'll go ahead and do our the next section. The approval of the minutes. Is there a motion to approve the minutes? Or is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Can we do a roll call?
Sure. Clarissa?
I approve.
Lynn?
Abstain. I wasn't here.
You're not here. Okay. Rachel?
I approve.
Cecilia?
I approve.
Chris, sorry.
I abstain, I wasn't here.
Jamae?
Approved.
Albert?
Approved.
Dell?
Approved.
Sean?
Approve.
Olga?
Approve.
Where is it?
Alright, so make sure. Okay, now for our informational items.
We're moving on to the HR one updates. See forward.
All right, that's me.
You're
Michelle. All right, so I'm gonna highlight a few things on this slide. So first item, and Julia kind of gave a little bit of a preview, but our first HR1 item, one of many, yay, is our SUAS change. So we're implementing our SUAS change on October 30th. Currently being tested, and we're on track to deliver that on October 30th. The next,
Do you wanna explain what SUAS is? Cause I know I've gotten that question before, what that acronym stands for.
SUAS is our Standard Utility Allowance Subsidy. So if someone's not eligible to the SUA, California gives a $20.01 payment, and then that makes them eligible to the SUA expense deduction. So the next SCR, which is related to the SUAS policy change, it's adding a new income type for energy assistant payment programs that are in the state of California, and then there's a federal program as well. We are adding new income types to address this income, and the slide has that release is TBD, but we have updated the release to 2601. So in January, we'll be implementing those new income types. The last item we have related to the SUAS change is the CF1. So the threshold languages, still waiting for CDSS to provide those, provide us with the threshold languages. And so therefore the SCR is TBD until we get the languages for that effort. So I'll move on to our December priority, and these are our Medi-Cal state policy changes from associated to the state budget. And so again, this is at reinstating the asset limit for Medi-Cal, and then the unsatisfactory immigration, the freeze that no longer as of January 1 will they be able to those that have unsatisfactory immigration status be eligible to full scope Medi-Cal. Those are on track for our December priorities, so just wanted to highlight that. And then our ABOD changes, those are currently both TBD. Like we've had several conversations with CDSS over the last couple of weeks, and they do not have direction from the federal government, though I know you guys have all seen memos that have come out from FNS saying, you know, November 3rd and everything. But the department has several outstanding questions with FNS, and they're just not getting responses. They're not, from a state perspective, prepared to have counties implement the ABOD policy. You know, there's a lot of operational things counties need to do. Definitely not prepared for that. So as of now, ABOD is on hold. So we await direction. And then I won't highlight the next item because it's a little far away. We're still working with DHCS. So on to the next slide. Again, these are just more, you know, highlighting things that we have in the work plan. These are all related to Medi-Cal changes from HR1. So still working with DHCS and CalHERS, Covered California, CWDA on these items, but they're still on track for those states. We'll move on to the next slide. Here, we just want to highlight SCRs that are related to CalFresh that are associated to notice of action, verifications, the eligibility determination benefit calculation, our EDC, that you know, could help improve error rates should we get these changes implemented. So these are all 2026 changes. I've corrected this slide, so it'll reflect 2026 next time, but these are 2026 items that we are tracking for next year. And then on to the next slide. This slide, I'm gonna pass to Jerry, and he's gonna give a little background and share where we're at with the HR1 ad hoc queries.
Okay, thanks, Michelle. So for the ad hoc queries, what these queries are is getting some data together as far as establishing impacts and impacted groups within CalSAS. So this is gathering the data together, determining what the impact and the analysis and stuff like that will obviously be performed by the counties, not us. So we're getting the data together on this. We started this activity after engaging with Contra Costa, San Diego, and Sacramento County a couple weeks ago on various issues in this area. And we took the first group of, we will say, reports that some of the counties have been working on and brought those back to the project and looked at kind of reformulating, recreating those to be usable by every county, by the 58 counties, as opposed to the specific nature that they were in when we got them. And so that's kind of the first two steps with the green check mark there. Those are complete. The reconstituted queries are posted to the portal. The next part, which is in progress, we said it was going to be done yesterday. It's not done yet and not posted. So I want to give that update as well, is posting the first cut of the reports for the 58 counties. Some of these data volumes are very large, gigabytes in there, hundreds of thousands of rows of data. So we will post these for the 6 as they become available for the counties. They'll be showing up all throughout the day today. In the future, going on, some of the next steps that we're taking, we've since received some additional input from some of the counties regarding some additional views of the data, some of the data that we've queried, plus some new queries on that. We'll be working with that through the work groups that have been set up, the ad hoc work group. And in parallel with that, these ad hocs that we did initially, we'll be working with the existing ad hoc groups, primarily the Apex team, to get those published as well for the counties that use that Apex for these queries. So I'll take a breath. Pass back to Michelle.
Thanks, Jerry. We could go to the next slide. So want to highlight some upcoming outreach efforts. And so for SUA's, slide says we were drafting, but we have published a SUA's quick guide. So that was CIT 0129-25. And so that SUA's quick guide includes the functionality that will exist on October 30th when we implement the SUA's changes. So lots of good information in that quick guide about the SUA's logic, where you can locate SUA's in there. The next outreach effort is our effort we've been working with DHCS on their work groups. DHCS has a county work group associated to the May revised changes. And so they did, the tentatively planned has happened. So on October 14th, they did a session with the counties and CalSAS on, basic policy scenarios and how to work those in CalSAS. And then on the 28th of October, there's another session planned where we're going to do some additional demonstrations and talk through more complicated policy scenarios related to property. So that's coming up on October 14th. And then tentatively planned for November and December is when we're going to work with DHCS on sessions related to the immigration changes. So those dates should be coming out soon. And then we did publish a broadcast earlier this month. I think it was, Ashley can correct me if I'm wrong, but on the Medi-Cal changes for January, just sharing the information that we've received from DHCS and information on our SER, where you can find that SER, so that we plan to do another one in a few weeks with some additional information. So you can look for those broadcasts. All right, on the next slide. So we do have some outreach efforts coming up for AVOD. So in anticipation of when this policy will be implemented, our regional manager, our customer engagement group, they have scheduled 2 CalSAS Learning Exchange sessions for October. And the team here is going to go over, all the AVOD functionality that exists today. and, walk through that. Those will be recorded sessions. And in addition to that, we are going to enable the ABOD functionality and some related batch processes that exist today in our policy review and training environment. So PRT, that's tentatively scheduled to be turned on in that environment on 10/27 and will remain active through December 31st, 2025. So this will allow counties to go in there and look at the functionality, create cases, maybe some training materials for the county, but you really get to explore that functionality and how it works today. And then we are in process of creating an ABOD quick guide. So again, to explain all the functionality, screenshots related to the ABOD functionality that exists today. So that will be coming soon. I just reviewed a draft this week. Right, we can go to the next slide. I'm gonna pass this one to Karen because she's gonna talk a little bit about the work groups.
All right, Karen, do you want me to kind of frame how, how we got here with the work group?
Sure.
Yeah, since this was an output of the JPA meeting in September. So as we know, with the passage of HR1, there was a need for us to shift and get more singularly focused on some of the HR1 priorities within the project. Obviously, that causes us to have to make some trade-offs and some prioritization. So in the spirit of transparency, we brought that forward last month at the JPA meeting and presented these 5 areas that Karen is going to get into for the JPA's approval, so we could start activating the work group specific to these HR1 priorities as we saw necessary. So that was approved. Immediately, the team got into action to start formulating those work groups. And so Karen's going to share where we are in progress on those work groups.
Thank you, Julie. So we have 5 work groups that we are starting. Today is actually the kickoff for all the county participants who are participating in that. One is for the CalFresh processing to reduce error rates. So that is where are ways to help. Some might be system changes. Potentially there's ways that the system could help with providing some different ways of doing things to reduce error rates. We also have ad hoc reporting. This kind of goes with what Jerry was talking about a few minutes ago. It's really building off of the reports that we were able to get put up in the short term, but this is a subsequent effort with all the regional participation in order to update or create some new ad hocs that might be helpful to all the counties and be able to, improve the ad hoc reporting. We also have some ABOD enhancements that have been turned in through various channels that we'll take a look at for ways to be able to improve that functionality potentially. And then with the income verification, that's essentially working with the Truve income verification tool that CDSS is preparing to purchase, and what that means, with regard to the system and, how we can make that all work together. We don't have all the information on that one just yet. And then on data analytics, that's a separate effort to look at the, how we can improve the data analytics, do things maybe a little bit differently as we move forward to make it easier for counties to utilize. The timelines that we have for these work groups, we're not doing all 5 of them at the same time. It's a lot of effort to get started at the same time. So we are starting with the first 2 first. And those, as I mentioned, the kickoff is for everybody today. I think it's today. Yeah, today. And then those work groups will start next week. And then we have the ABOD one and the income verification, probably mid-November. And then the data analytics one is kind of in the middle of those. So we'll start a couple, start data analytics, and then start the other 2. And the goal of these specific work groups is that they identify and prioritize requirements. So this is done a little bit differently than how we've done some work groups in the past. The solutioning is not part of this first part of gathering the requirements. So we really want to focus on what the needs are, where the pain points are, and then also have the participants help with prioritizing the things that they'd like to have done first. Because sometimes we end up with a big list of requirements and they're not necessarily prioritized. And we do want to make sure that we hit the items that are most important to the counties first, as we then move to estimating, planning the effort, capacity planning, and then onto solutioning. So this first part, so we'll reset expectations for folks from how we've done it in the past, or how this one will work. But I think it will help people be focused on the pain points, the requirements, and really put a box around that. And then we'll move towards the solution. So I'm excited about the work groups, and we'll get started shortly. Yeah. Next.
One question as it relates to the ABOT functionality going into the training environment. Is that just ABOT as we know it today?
Existing
Okay, so
versions, yeah.
Well, still, thank you for that. At least it allows staff to go in there and play around and so.
Brand new for almost
Yes.
everybody, yeah.
Yes. Well, thank you. Any questions of the PSC?
Thank you for the information. So just curious I see the work groups are kicking off soon. In terms of like when timelines are for development or production for some of these, specifically I'm looking at the CF error rates, has that been determined yet, or is that based on the work group?
It will be based on the requirements that come
Okay.
out of the work group. So that we can take a look at what the estimate is on those, when we can put them in. And, depending on priority, we may have to move out some other things that we have in order to fit in things that are the highest of priorities.
Okay.
So we do have work planned out, but we did build some flexibility into that a little bit in terms of if something comes that's, highest of priorities that we think we could get in and
Right.
and be able to move things around a little bit, we will look at that as well.
Okay, and so these haven't been prioritized yet, total or?
They are not at all, because
Okay.
we don't know what the requirements are yet from the
Understood.
counties until we talk with everybody. And then, then that set of requirements will come out and allow us to be able to look at what the timeline could be, what the estimate is on the size of it, where it might fit in with other things that are prioritized, and then we'll, as part of that, as part of the timeline.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, the biggest thing with the CF error rate reduction is it's not a silver bullet, right? There's going to be several things that need to be done over a period of time to do that versus the income verification, which is like, boom, here it is, right? So I think what we're also going to have to do, and we've already started some of that QC work with counties, actually Sac County provided us some QC data, is looking at impact versus how easy it is for us to put that into place. And so that'll determine the roadmap of how quickly we can deploy some of these error rate ones. Obviously, error rate is a big priority for not just the counties, but the state as well. And so those things will be prioritized accordingly.
Thank you.
Renee?
Yes, thank you. And I wanted to say thank you for the work going forward on making some of these HR ones a priority. I had a question regarding slide 10. I believe it was Jerry who shared that information was received. Oh, no, not that one. Go to 11 then. Maybe it's 11. Oh, 12. Oh, shucks. Well, I don't know. Maybe it was 10. I don't know now. Okay, I'll do better with taking the slides note. But anyway, my question was, I think Jerry shared that you all have worked on information from the counties and that you have reconstituted the queries. Is there a list of the work that you're referring to? Because I think that would be good for us, because some of us have our IT folks working on various reports. So it'd be good to know if we're both working on the same report and if there's a way for collaboration of some kind.
Yes, There is a list of the reports. There was a information transmittal that went out that directed to the location on the web portal. The list of the reports is there along with the sequel at this point that was reconstituted, reformulated, whatever word we want to use. And shortly in progress right now, the actual initial cut of those reports for each of those, for each county, will be posted up in the same location as well.
Okay, all right. In fact, somebody just brought me the list, so thank you very much.
All right, there we go.
Okay, it's like, whoa, can't ask for more.
So Jermaine, and I think for the broader group, this comes with all the qualifiers that I feel obligated to express right now. A lot of I know the counties are concerned about impact, right, in terms of some of these HR1 changes. Right now, California doesn't have the final guidance on a lot of these policy changes. And so draw your conclusions very loosely in terms of the impact, because even the aid codes, what groups that are, actually impacted by some of these are still in flight. And so even DHCS, kind of put that out there at the CWDA conference last week, this is what California thinks, right? And this is how we are viewing it. But we all know that that's in pencil, not pen, until we get final guidance from the feds. And so as y'all are pulling these reports, you're seeing these numbers, make sure you also with your boards, this is important, disclaimers with your boards that this is based on the information we know as of this date. So because the reports could rapidly change as more information gets finalized.
Very true, very true. And last, I just want to say thank you for standing up the 5 various work groups. So I appreciate that.
I have a question about the CLEs for ABOT. So on those, do we anticipate any major changes coming? Because we are sharing that with a lot of staff. So I know that in Riverside, we're gonna have teams show up and watch this presentation. And so once you set it up one way, they're gonna focus on that's the way. So do we anticipate any major changes, or do we hold off until we have some more information as to what's gonna be finalized for AVOD if we're training?
So I'll start. So the AVOD CLE is functionality as it is, as it's known. That's what it is. It's a refresher of what's there. Once AVOD changes are made, then there'll be tools that'll be provided, such as job aids, things of that nature for the changes that will with what's coming out.
I get what you're saying, Sandra. It's like once they learn
Correct.
this way of doing it. Unfortunately, this is back to this
Yeah.
disclaimer that I just gave just a moment ago. We don't know how significant those things are. I think Karen would probably. Yes.
Yeah, so it'd be everything that's known today. And CDSS has been pretty clear, like they're not ready to implement, they don't have all the policies. So like Michelle mentioned, we're still waiting for that, and then we'll need to react to it. So I do think that there's a lot of value in still learning the existing functionality as it is today. It's not likely to change significantly. I think there might be some parameters or that sort of thing that change perhaps, but the existing functionality, pretty much nobody knows what it is to date. So I think there's a lot of value in still attending those sessions.
And
or
I think
watching
it
those
would be
recordings.
really helpful, and I'm sure you will provide that disclaimer that potential changes may be coming.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
So, piggybacking off of that, if the state says we're gonna implement ABOD waiver as it exists today, lift that ABOD waiver as it exists today, and when we do that, we implement the new changes right away, like it'll happen at the same time. The likelihood of that happening is probably high, but it'll happen at the same time. What's our plan to quickly then add that piece of training onto the lifting of the existing waiver?
Well, potentially, I would say, potentially we, depending on how big any additional changes might be, we could always do a specific webcast with it. We could add it to our release webcast, depending on timing. There's various ways that we could go about that.
Okay, So if we know November 3rd is probably not gonna happen.
It is not gonna
It's
happen.
But if we say, if they come back and say, okay, December, then maybe we'll be prepared because we've had this training.
It's not, it's not.
Um,
The earliest where we're at is
Okay.
after the first of the year.
And
And that's not our fault, that's
No,
based
I-
on, we're gonna have to react to state.
yes, and so we have to do our part as well from a county perspective on how we train our staff in anticipation of. Like, if the state says we're not gonna do something, what is the county's reaction to that, right? We don't, who's gonna get, at the end of the day, who's gonna get penalized, right? For not doing what the feds said they were going to.
And the state is equally culpable in that.
Yes.
I think the conversation isn't in the automation space, this is policy piece, so I wanna make sure
Absolutely.
we kind of keep those conversations in the right space in terms of what CalSAWS has agency over and what the state sometimes doesn't have agency over, and then ultimately where
No,
we're
I
waiting
get
for federal guidance, so I just wanna make sure, especially in this setting, that it's not presented as if, we're the, the blocker, on that, but because we share your frustration and concerns and, anxieties about some of this and the timing of it, but I know the state is doing everything that it can as well to try to, get clarification as soon as possible. But we're in unprecedented times.
Yeah, no, I get it. I just, from a perspective of staff across all 58 counties, it's just the weight and trying to figure out in one system, we're supposed to act as one. How do we then train as one? So that
There's a
we make
lot of
sure we're
value.
doing the same things.
Yeah, there's a lot of value in the various outreach efforts that are there. County should totally take advantage of those things.
Okay,
And
thank you.
also, the 8-1 rules, I don't wanna oversimplify it, but all it does, it just makes the net bigger. That's all
Yeah,
it
it
does,
expands
it
the net.
expands
Yeah.
the population, but the functionality should still be the same. So all it says is if your ceiling was a H50, now you're a 60. The functionality in itself, the tracking is the same thing. So I think that, again, we have to train it because our staff haven't had to do it. But I don't think that the functionality, there's a lot of things changing within the system, it's just that you're changing those parameters, and now you're gonna go up to this age group, and now you're including veterans, and now you're including homeless. So I think that's one of the pieces as it comes to the system side. Now, to the other piece of your question, at the end of the day, we get direction from the state. And if they drag this on, they drag this on. I'm not going to put that burden on this team, or we as county shouldn't carry that burden either. At the end of the day, we're waiting for the the ACL, we've been waiting and we've been asking. I understand that they're seeking clarification, that's fine, but until they put, again, to use Julia's words, until that becomes ink, then we move forward. And I think that that's just our stance for us as for this table, and also when we go to our CWDA meetings, at the end of the day, it's like we are waiting on you. Because that's also the same conversation that I imagine all of us county staff are having with our boards, because we're getting questions. And just because the letter for the work requirements, at the end of the day, there's nothing. You see, so to me, we're also dealing with that noise that's coming. And I think we just have to be focused and understand, we don't move until the state gives us direction. And the project can move on until they get, because even if we start doing something on that, if things change, what are we counties going to do? We're going to point the finger. So I would recommend. Okay, so I think that it's to our best for all of us that we wait until we have that ink. And then we can have a realistic conversation. And then at that moment, counties can say, here's our priority, here's our need, versus trying to put something in place that we're gonna have to stop in production. It's just nothing.
I have a couple more questions, sorry. On the reporting, the queries side, we did get that, thank you so much. The 6 queries, just a question around documentation. Are you going to provide actual documentation on the 5 or 6 queries that were released? And outside of a description, right? The documentation on what the query includes.
At this point, we were providing additional documentation. There'll be beyond what's been provided for each of the query, the descriptions of the queries, then they will be listed in the Apex system for the people that use that as well. So no, there's not a ongoing effort to provide like a design document or something for a report, for the ad hoc report.
Okay, that's gonna be difficult for our technical folks who might be looking for that, because
Like, what do you think?
I mean, they have access to the SQL, so
Yeah, I mean,
they'll be free to
Have
run it
access, yeah.
themselves.
They have,
So,
they have the SQL, the
SQL.
list of the parameters, the description for each report. But there's not gonna be a forthcoming like
design.
general
document.
system design document or anything like that. Like there would be for a scheduled report. These are documented as ad hoc reports are
the
documented.
goal of these reports essentially was to take like county only reports. And counties. That's the goal of it.
Yep.
So it
So
wasn't, it
no-
wasn't like a design effort that we did, it was basically, we're just trying to make it available.
Okay, so what we received as description of the report, that's all we're getting.
It's what you have.
Okay, okay, I just want to clarify whether or not we're gonna get something more than the actual description of the report. For me, it'll just be helpful,
As
but.
soon as we get into the ad hoc reporting work group, right, that will take a different path, and it will be one that probably has more information with it as those get built. This was a, quick hit, effort to get things available to counties faster.
Yeah, I think for us is sometimes, and the counties get asked to, what's included in the report, especially if the report comes out and it's like, that's not the number I expected. And then they take a look at the details of the report. And then they say, well, I don't know that this particular case or these set of cases should have been included. And we go back and we say, well, we don't really know what was included. There was nothing on the description. But maybe the sequel itself.
The SQL itself should, if your technical folks will know, where like, yeah, so I think.
And as I understand, the work group will be looking into those reports a little bit more deeply. So
Yeah,
we'll
this was, so
understand.
just so we're clear, this urgent one was an ask of the, the board, right? It was, we need these now, right, before, so we had to do some pre-work group activity, just so, because you all are getting asked like every day, what's the impact? So we have to try to give something, like we're satisficing right now in terms of like, here's what we know, and this is what we can expand out, rather than you all each individually coming to us and saying, can you develop an ad hoc, we just make these available to all, 58. The work group itself will be much more detailed and much more refined in terms of those asks. And then we'll also have time, because policy will be becoming more finalized, there'll be more kind of impact level. Right now, it's just data. Impact will be, I think, some of the outputs of the ad hoc.
And then I have one more question. Sorry. On the work groups themselves, it looks like some of them are related to the other. So for example, ad hoc reporting and data analytics, as well as the number one, which is the processing, CalFresh processing to reduce error rates and income verification. How are you anticipating those to work together as we move forward?
So each of the work groups will identify like their own requirements. Then we'll have to look at where there are the crossovers and where things we might be able to capitalize on pulling different requirements together to be able to handle those. And that will end up getting reflected when we do solutioning, right? Because the requirements, ultimately, for a solution, we don't really care where the requirements come from. We can put them together to create, a more substantial SCR to move forward. Specifically for the data analytics is more around the tool.
That's the architecture, right? So in terms of the CalSAWS, one of the challenges with us right now is when you all ask for reports, like the architecture, the data architecture of CalSAWS is not really optimized for us to do a lot of quick turnarounds on like reporting. Our goal and our long pole is like self-service, so that when you all want something and you want some insights, you can like readily pull, but we have to create an architecture that allows for that. So that these efforts, like the ones we're talking about with the HR1 rates is rapid. That's very different. That's kind of more of like a strategic effort to, it's not the ad hoc reporting. Those are two those are two separate, efforts, but what we'll do is give you all more readily available insights. But we need to do some architecture stuff in Virginia.
Yeah, I mean, I think just to pile on a little bit what Julia said, ad hoc reporting again will be, in my mind, immediate needs in the next month, 2, 3. And analytics is again, I would say a 12 to 18 month project where we are trying to figure out what's the right architecture where, the ad hoc reporting can be simplified, where the requests are not coming, and then our response always is it's gonna take a month or 2. So we're trying to figure out solution, but that is the 12 to 18 month duration.
And the same thing with the error rates and the income verification. The income verification one is a little more also around the tool, like how that would maybe interact with CalSAS. What does it look like on our pages, that sort of thing. The CalFresh error rates might influence some of that, but for income verification, it's really around the tool and how that might end up with us. But you might have how we gather income verification from a customer or something like that around, I don't know, document imaging or whatever, right? Like might be in that first piece. So again, we can take the requirements, figure out where they actually belong when we get to the next piece for solution.
That's all, thank you.
Short question.
I think Val.
Dell?
Hi, good morning, everyone. So question on the ABOD functionality. It sounds like ABOD functionality has not been used in CalSAS, correct? So it sounds like it's never been used. Is there an effort, or should we have an effort to go through the functionality and verify that that works as expected? Since we've never actually entered any data into it, we've never actually done anything in it. I'm certain that that will work as is needed, or should we go through that effort as we're waiting for CDSS to provide guidance on how we're going to implement it or when actually we're going to implement it? Maybe it'd be worth our effort to put some testing or do something on that space.
Well, so Dell, when we implemented the functionality, oh gosh, I don't even remember what year it was, it's been a while, and a couple of buildings ago. We did a thorough testing on that functionality, to ensure that it met the policy and the ABOD work group that CDSS, or workbook that CDSS published. So
And then prior to implementation, it will get tested because of any of the changes that we already know about will have to also be tested before it goes live.
yeah,
So that will also be included as part of the testing before it's implemented in all the counties. But the functionality itself, working through the clue sessions and will also be in the PRT.
Yep.
Starting soon, which will also give counties an opportunity to be able to look at it and ask questions if they have questions about it. It's not a user acceptance testing, but it does allow counties to be able to go in and poke around at it, play with it, try it out. And if there's questions that arise from that, we certainly will take a look at those. And if any defects arise out of that, we will look to resolve those.
Sounds good. I think we'll probably take the approach of going through it, obviously, once you have it available in the training environment. My concern is that, as anything, right, if it's there, I mean, I can trust you all, right, that it works, it's tested. But every time that we deploy some changes to code, we know that we can affect changes as well for functionality. So I think it'll be, for LA County, we'll go through and we'll do some poking around to make sure that it is working as expected.
Sure.
To make sure that it'll work once we start using it. Thank you.
Any other questions of the PSC? Any questions of the public? Jen?
Hi, thank you. This is Jen from the Advocates Group. We're really excited that you all are putting together these work groups to make sure that as things are developing, that you can think about how to implement them effectively. Advocates in particular would like to have a way to participate in the CalFresh work group, the ABOD enhancement work group, and the income verification work group, since those have a direct impact on customers. And given the stakes, just knowing how important all of this is. You know, we want to be able to share the insights and perspectives that we have based on seeing how customers experience the system. So if there's any way for us to either participate directly or have opportunity to review materials and provide feedback in a parallel way, we request the opportunity to do that. Thank you.
I have to get permission from our boss. Yeah, I think, we also, that is a priority for us, Jen, as well. And so, you know, I've already, you know, we talked and Fred is going to, you know, make sure through the user-centered design, they're gonna be making some changes to the user-centered or UCD sessions, to make sure that that is the conduit where we're working with the advocates, because you're right, there is a lot of public-facing pieces to this, and so we do need your input on those pieces around you nailed it in terms of which are the work groups we definitely need your input. And so you should look out for that, because we are planning to bring that forward through those channels.
Thanks, Julia.
Fred, do you have anything else?
You pretty much covered it. Any other public comment on this item? Discussion, next item, please.
Or HR1, release and policy updates.
All right, I'm gonna take this one too. So this just highlights some priority releases that we have coming up in the next few months. And so won't drain everything, but just want to call out again in October, we have the SUAS change on the 30th. November, we have our baseline release on November 24th, that this will be our first baseline release that Deloitte is responsible for. And I'll share some details about that in the next couple of slides. But so we do have some priority releases in addition to that baseline. And one I'll call out is our Social Security, the cost of living increase. And so we'll be working on that. Still waiting to get information from DHCS on that. And then in December, we have our Medi-Cal state policy changes for the asset and the Medi-Cal expansion. And we have cost of living for our SSA COLA, that's there as well. And then in January, we have a priority releases and we have baseline release coming up in January. One thing in January I want to call out is our CalFresh, our SSI COLA. So we've been doing that for the last couple of years. And so that will be in a priority release early January. And we're working closely with CDSS and DHCS on that. Go to the next slide. So our just covering our 2511 release that's coming up. We are currently in our system test phase. I think we are 2 or 3 weeks into our system test phase. It is going really well. We try to get through first pass of all SCRs in the release within the first month. And so we are making really good progress on that effort. And we have our major upcoming changes document that was sent out in early October. We have our November 2511 release webcast on November 4th. And then we have our going over to our deployment on November 23rd, and we'll be holding our regularly scheduled green light and doing activities for that. And then we have our post release calls there in November 24th through the 26th. And then on to the next slide, which I think this might be the last slide for that area. Pass it back to you,
Thank you.
Albert.
Thank you. Any questions of the PSC? Any questions of the public? Thank you. Next item.
Thank you, Albert. Good morning, everyone. So for the next few minutes, I'm going to share some highlights on the system changes that we have been working on, as Julia mentioned earlier, on the Benefiscal side. And from the system changes standpoint, we have been working on our October release, which is 25.10, coming up later this month on the 30th. And one highlight I would like to share with our steering committee group is about the document upload, which is a very frequently used functionality. And we had an item prioritized and requested by our collaboration model stakeholders back in the day. How can we make it more intuitive for customers and improve the accuracy rates for our counties as well in the downstream? So along those lines, the change is adding subcategories at more granular level for the document upload. So for each document type, so it would be easier and more intuitive for customers so they can select it better, more accurate options. And also it would reduce the rework on the county side once a document is sent out from Benefiscal to the counties. So this is coming later this month, end of this month on the 30th. And then the other item which is important is a policy-related change. You may recall in the previous steering committee meeting that the HCS for the medical recipients, there are changes in the property information insert effective as of January 1st, January and February renewals. And to accommodate that on the self-service side, we will be making changes on the Benefiscal portal. So allowing customers to download this MC604 form, fill it out and upload again before they submit. Starting, we will be deploying this to production end of October. So for November onwards, November, December months, the customers we will have that ability to download the form and provide it through the Benefiscal. So these are coming in the month of October. From the November release standpoint, one highlight to share is for our student population. There is one exemption to support our students for local programs to improve their employability. Those exemptions will be added to Benefiscal in the month of November as part of the November release. And we will be adding also for our always on survey, which is an existing feature in Benefiscal, to encourage more customers to opt in and participate into our design research activities, design activities. Moving on to December release, which is 2512, we will be reinstating the asset limits to support these property insert information to add them in both the AFP flow as well as the medical renewal flow. And the about piece, Michelle and Karen covered it extensively. We are right now pending the policy confirmation from our state partners before we take the next steps right now. So we had this tentatively put it in December, but the date is right now subject to change depending on when the policy confirmation is provided. With that, let's move on to the next slide, and I will be handing over to Mufadal for the HR1 priorities.
Yeah, thanks, Honor. Yeah, I know we spoke about HR1 extensively, on all of those slides. This one's just talking about few high-level priorities for benefits Cal that are aligning with CalSOS. As well as CalHere's, we've been working closely with the DHCS partner. So what we've done here is split some of the items that are on the horizon into CalFresh and Medical, like the two big areas. And within CalFresh, we've already spoken about ABOT, so I'm not going to get into the details for that. The other highlight is the income and employment verification through the True service. Again, there's been a lot of conversations with True, with CDSS, trying to understand, what they have to offer, how will it impact our customers, as well as, making sure if there's any lessons learned that we can bring from other states. So a lot of work has been happening on that front. Of course, we're waiting for direction from CDSS to move forward with that. And, Michelle and Karen covered in their slides earlier that this is also going to be a work group where a lot of those requirements will be identified. Moving on to Medical, the asset reinstatement, owner already mentioned, that's one thing that we're going to be reinstating as a part of our December release. So starting January, customers will start to see the assets information for the non-Magi renewals. From a Magi standpoint, work requirements and semi-annual redeterminations are two big items that we're going to be focusing on. Work requirements, the good thing we have is we already have an established framework with ABOT work requirements that we'd worked back in the day, when we did the ABOT functionality in Benefits Cal.
So we could basically use the framework and, be a little nimble and flexible and, turn around those changes quicker. And then the semi-annual redetermination also actually can fall back a little bit on our CalFresh and CalWorks, the SAR7 flows that we have. Obviously, it's going to be a lot different than what we do there, but we at least have a framework established in Benefits Cal, so that it's easier for customers to get the adoption piece. Finally, cost sharing for adults, that's something coming up pretty late. I think it's 2027, 2028. But again, that's on the horizon, working closely with DHCS partners to confirm those impacts to Benefits Cal. Albert, back to you for any comments.
Any questions of the PSC? Any questions of the public? Jen?
Hi there. Back to the slide with the public facing enhancement. There was an enhancement for reasonable accommodations for people to be able to report the type of accommodation they need, not just that they need one. And it has been over a year since we last heard of the status for that. And I'm wondering if we expect that one to be on the calendar anytime soon.
So Jennifer, this will be a topic in our upcoming UCD monthly meeting that we will discuss more extensively. So what are our options as we look forward for the horizon for this particular item.
Okay, so is it possible that it might be on this release calendar after that meeting?
Hi, Jen, this is Frederick, so it's possible. We want to make sure that when we bring it to the meeting next week, that we are all on the same page moving forward. And then we do want to get it on the release schedule as soon as possible. So depending on how that discussion goes, we would love to get it on there.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Jen. Any other public comment? Okay, next item.
Good morning, everyone. I'll give you a quick update on our CalSolve Learning Exchange. So just as a reminder, our sessions, our CalSolve Learning Exchange sessions are sessions where we do refresher type training for current existing functionality where the counties have identified, they need some additional information or they possibly have questions. And we put these sessions together to do just that. We give relevant information and allow the counties an opportunity to ask questions. We work with the counties in identifying what those topics are, and we also look towards counties to participate wherever they may have best practices or lessons learned that they could share with other counties. Next slide. So in August, our CLE session was on Benefits Cal, and that was held on August 19th, the 20th, and the 21st. These are the sessions that provided an overview of available functionality, including the training environment, case linking, e-application review, document uploads, and the reporting tool. So in those sessions, we had 891 participants that attended, representing 45 counties. The sessions also included some state partners and CBOs. All the materials for those sessions have been made available to the counties and are on the web portal. Next slide. This slide just gives you some insight into some of the feedback that we received from our participants, which included how informative the sessions were, their perspectives on how to address questions that they may get from customers. They appreciated the step-by-step navigation in Benefits Cal. And then we've got some constructive criticism as well on the volume of some of the videos wasn't optimal, and so we continue to refine that for future sessions. Next slide. This next slide just gives you a snapshot of our calendar of sessions that have been completed to date. So August completed to date includes the Benefits Cal sessions. And this month in October, we're doing our ABOD sessions. They're scheduled for next week. There will be 3 sessions, 2 on the 21st and 1 on the 22nd. And those sessions will be recorded and information posted to the local. Excellent. So as always, I will judge on if we all, the counties have, you know, requests or ideas on upcoming, for upcoming sessions, please share those with your RMs. Our RM team actively works with the counties in the regions to identify topics for our CLE sessions to make them relevant. We are currently working on our 2026 calendar, so all feedback is welcome. Back to you.
Thank you. Any questions of the PSC?
Just a comment, not a question. How much we appreciate this learning exchanges. So I know several of our Region 1 folks have attended the sessions, so heard that they've been very, very helpful. So thank you.
I agree. I think this is one of our most best attended activities that we do. We have a great relationship with our app dev team and working with our customer engagement team to put these together so that they are relevant and provide the information that counties need. So we're happy to do it.
This ABOD one may hit your 1,000. Yeah. You know, and it really helps bring all the counties together.
Yes.
You know, because there is no experience for that for all the eligibility workers. Thank you.
And we welcome your county's participation, you know, and if you can get them all in a room and have it all displayed, then that's the best way to do it so that it doesn't impact the video or the audio.
Yeah, that's what Sandra, I think Sandra is, that's what you all are doing. Yeah, they're getting conference room.
Any questions of the public? Thank you. Next item.
All right, thanks, Albert. Good morning. So the big headline on this slide, if you look at it, we are exactly 2 weeks away from our first major milestone, which is, I know Michelle extensively talked about the SUA release, so I won't repeat that, but that is our first release in production on October 30th, 2 weeks from now on Thursday, followed by the production operations cutover, which is essentially the batch ops and the level 3 triage. We've been working on this, key milestones since beginning of February. It's been almost 8+ months, and we are almost there. Very excited, actually. This is the milestone we've been working towards, and the collaboration from Lisa and her team and Gainwell Dawn, and of course the consortium has been phenomenal. Wasn't something I was expecting, but this has been a pleasant experience so far. And again, we are not quite there yet, but I think we're getting there. So that's the main headline on this slide. If you look at the cutovers by group 1, which was OCAT, we did that a while back around March or April, and it's been operating under M&E since then. Group 2, 3, and 4, all three are racing towards the November 1st milestone, and we'll talk about the details on these subsequent slides. So go to the next slide, please. So this is our transition update. Now this is a bit dated, meaning this is from last week. If I look at the latest statistics here, the cutover for group 2, it's almost 99% done on KT, and then it's 100% on job shadow and reverse job shadow. What's remaining is we have a handful of sessions on the broad ops cutover. The disaster recovery was done, I believe, early this week or over the weekend, and it went fairly well. There are a few things which the Don's team is doing follow-up. If I look at the group 3, almost there. What's remaining is the CARES transition is in progress, and that will complete in the next 2 weeks or so. In addition to that, we do have some CDSS reporting and ad hoc requests, so that's something we are working on. But all in all, the transition activities, for the last few months have been winding down, and our focus has been shifted for a while on the releases and getting ready for November 1st. Go to the next slide, please. I won't, Michelle already kind of stole my limelight here with all the release updates. The one thing I would highlight here is, if I look at the SUA release, which, Michelle, I believe, we're on track to complete testing by this weekend, early next week, something like that.
That's what I've heard.
So that's progressing fairly well. 25.11, which is our first major release in production. If I look at the stats as of last night, 80% done with a 94 or 95% pass rate. So coming along, and at that, honestly, I was expecting it, given that we had an early head start on that release. So it's progressing well. But as you see on this slide, starting 10/30 all the way through, the February of next year, we got like 5 or 6 releases. We got multiple cola runs, and the team has been preparing for that, and we strongly believe we are ready. Go to the next slide. Okay, so this is again the testing summary, and we'll try to tweak this slide as we move further. But if you look at this for 25.11, this shows, I think, 59% complete with 93-94% pass rate. As I mentioned earlier, if I look at as of last night, we are 80% testing complete with 94% pass rate. So again, this is a release. We started the work early, and we were expecting, that it will have a higher pass rate. We'll continue to push similar pass rates for the subsequent releases, but we got work to do before we get there. Go to the next slide. So this is the last slide here. Again, the other major activity the team has been focused on is the production operations. So we do a build next Thursday, and then Jerry, Friday night is the batch monitoring we are doing, or Saturday? Saturday, yeah. So Saturday, Jerry and I will be here, probably eating dinner for the first time. But all in all, I think this has been in the works for last 8.5 months now. And we are excited. We're ready. Questions?
I want to, before we get to questions, I think this is, it can't be overstated what a critical time, all these slides represent, where there's literally a passing of the baton from Accenture to Deloitte on this project on the M&E side, and phenomenal work from both our vendors, all our vendors, but also the consortium staff. So I just want to put it out there. This has been a Herculean effort, and the fact that you all haven't had to scream, through this process is a testament to the coordination and the partnership that's extended across this group. The other part of this too is just from a risk perspective, we took a little different approach rather than just kind of taking one vendor out and slotting another in. Accenture will continue to be backshadowing during this time. And this is, while we didn't predict HR1, I think even more so now, this is of the utmost importance that we have, Accenture here as well, as we move through some of these releases. That schedule of, those 6 releases in this short time frame is significant, and these are critical changes that are happening. So I just want to kind of put that out there that we are mitigating those risks. The team has been working well together, and also just my thank you. They hear it all the time, but thank you, to the team for all the hard work.
And from the county's perspective, we also want to express our appreciation and coordination. We understand this wasn't an easy task. And so thank you, Julia. Thank you all to the team for getting us where we're at as we are preparing for this marathon that's coming in the next couple of months to 2028. I think I saw a slide. So here we go. Any questions of the PSC? Any questions of the public? Thank you. Next item.
All right, I think I'm starting. Hello, everyone. Monthly performance metrics. So there's a new look and feel this month. You might recall, I mentioned that last month on this. It was a request that came from our JPA Vice Chair, Marla. So specifically, other than it's got a lot smaller and harder to read, we have included for each SLA the targets as well as the actuals. So with one exception, because I couldn't read this close enough apparently, and our batch is actually missing its target on this slide, which is actually 99% of all batch jobs will complete by 6 a.m. every day. So we'll make sure that's in there next month. And you know, because you haven't heard me talk enough over the last 20 years, we do have a red item. We had a miss on our EDBC, prime EDBC SLA in the month of September. So let me break that down for you. The target, the daily target there is 99.9% of EDBC transactions complete in under 20 seconds. Our miss for the month was we were at, that day, which was release day 9/22, our 2509 release. Our actual was 99.84. So a slight miss, yet it is a miss. So what happened on release morning? So we deployed the code on Sunday 9/24. As we always do with releases, we have a hypercare team on. We are watching the system closely between Infra and M&E before all the users come onto the system. So about 8:30 on Monday morning, 9/22, we noticed that there was some slowness, some stuck threads. The teams, jumped into action, and by 9 o'clock, the root cause had been identified. There was a missing index on a database table that was applied, and the system resumed back to normal processing. So on any given day, we have about 20 million transactions on average. During the prime period, which is 6 a.m. to 9 p.m., it's about 15 million transactions. Of those, it's around 1.5 that are EDBCs. And what we saw specifically here in that time frame in the morning, there was about 2,000 EDBCs that were slow because of this other issue in the system. So again, that's why we broke the SLA and missed the 99.9 and we're just appreciate the team for jumping on that. We did not receive any user tickets, so that's good. People didn't, your workers weren't distracted and they didn't have to log in and log tickets. We know that takes time. We complete reports on this. As I mentioned, it's been reviewed in social QA and changes that need to be applied. So that's the history. Now to
actually completed in record time. So it was early in terms of getting it all done. There was one item that was related to Highland, which they are working on for the next test. But in general, the disaster recovery test went quite well. And perhaps on our next slide here, Sarah, if you want to go ahead with imaging, and you might comment a bit on the item for the disaster recovery test, please.
Sure thing. Thanks, Dawn. Sarah with Highland. As you can see, for September, all of the SLA metrics were exceeded for the month of September, all in green, which is of course a good thing. And I did bring Highland's manager of our infrastructure engineering, Trey Reese, with me today to briefly explain what happened with the DR test. So Trey, could you give us a quick summary of that miss on the DR on Sunday?
Of course. So our subnets are our smaller components of our larger network, and we ran out of IP space for our virtual machines in the wrong subnets. So during prep, we made sure we had enough, but about halfway through our failover, we realized we ran out of IP space or networking space for our virtual machines. We found that our failover configuration was far too specific. It was far too prescriptive. And despite having the space we needed in our disaster recovery network in the East, we were not able to fulfill the space, and our configuration was far too specific in particular. Our engineers on the call were able to see this issue with perfect resolution. We understood it very clearly, and I will mention, in the event of a real disaster, we would have been able to break glass and bring up the solution successfully. We opted not to do that during the test due to the mess it would have left. But because the engineers understood this issue perfectly, we're already discussing ways to prevent this doesn't happen next time, and we're looking forward to sharing those when ready. Any other questions from Sarah or the group?
I will get the questions at the end. So at this point, if you guys are finished, we will turn this over to Benefits Cal.
All right, thank you very much. We have also adopted this fancy new format. And I have nothing exciting related to subnets or EDBC timing or anything else to share with you. We have met all of our SLAs for this period. As you heard earlier, there's quite a few things that we're looking down the runway on in Benefits Cal, especially related to HR1, but we do keep a very close eye on our technical performance, and these SLA hits show that. Back over to the chair, I think.
Albert, this was the last time.
Any questions of the PSC? Any questions of the public? Thank you, Ms. Anna.
All right, we have our state partner updates. I guess we can start at OTSI.
Good morning, this is Patrice Yang with a few updates from OTSI. On September 11th, we received the FNS approval for the Benefits Cal M&O agreement. And on September 24th, OTSI received the CalSAWS Gainwell Central Print Amendment 3, which is currently under state review. And the state walkthrough with our partners was held on October 14th. And lastly, on October 3rd, we received the contingent CMS approval for the CalSAWS June 2025 annual OEPDU. And that's all I have today. Thank you.
CDSS.
Good morning, everyone. This is Emily with CDSS. Since the last project steering committee, CDSS has issued 5 policy letters pertinent to program automation, ACL 2564, which summarizes CalFresh ABOD time limit notices and forms due to HR1, ACL 2568, which focuses on CalFresh implementation of the SUA final rule and limitations, ACL 2569, which details new and updated requirements for timing and data entry of the integrated practice child and adolescent needs and strengths tool regarding CARES, ACL 2570, which details welfare to work program implementation for updated NOAAs, and ACL 2572, which is the annual program letter for CalFresh restaurant meals. In addition, CDSS continues to work closely with CalSAWS, counties, and advocates to implement HR1 provisions in a way that supports accuracy, client access, and compliance with federal guidance. Our key collaboration efforts include the Advisory and County Operations Work Group, in which CDSS meets monthly with counties, advocates, and key stakeholders, such as CalSAWS, CWDA, and the EBT vendor, for the purpose of sharing HR1 policy updates as they are released by FNS. This helps us provide implementation guidance in an iterative manner and gather feedback on system and process changes holistically. These sessions allow stakeholders to identify and uplift potential risks while developing cross-cutting strategies to protect payment accuracy and client access. In addition, CDSS and CalSAWS continue to meet weekly to ensure timely communication on system design and policy alignment. These meetings focus on synchronizing policy effective dates with CalSAWS automation releases to ensure system readiness for federal compliance, and provides an essential forum for ongoing communication and support to support accurate and client-centered implementation of HR1 requirements. We are also very eager to partner with CalSAWS and counties on the HR1 work groups coming up shortly to ensure policy alignment, strengthen our data-driven decision-making, and support accuracy improvements statewide. We know that there is pressing interest on the SUAs. So one key HR1 policy change regarding the SUAs is being finalized and is scheduled to be released at the end of October. So this is going to be a major milestone. We look forward to celebrating with you all to celebrate the alignment of state automation with HR1 mandates. Lastly, CDSS continues to partner closely with CalSAWS and the EBT vendor FIS to explore benefit continuity contingencies and other impacts in the event the ongoing federal shutdown impacts November's benefit issuances. So again, just truly appreciate the close partnership that we've had across our system partners to help ensure alignment and customer service support at the local levels. Thank you.
Yes, yes.
Hi, good morning. This is Katie Mee from DHCS. Just really quickly, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Oh, perfect. Thank you so much. So our DHCS's top priorities remain HR1 implementation, as well as navigating state budget changes. As Michelle said earlier in this meeting, DHCS did hold a refresher training on both the AVP asset verification program reinstatement process and the asset limits reinstatement. Excuse me, can't read my notes. And just as it was mentioned earlier as well, the asset reinstatement or asset limit reinstatement goes live January 2026. January 2026. The next county support call that DHCS will be hosting will focus on income eligibility. And both CalSAWS and CalHERS will be on the call to help answer any technical questions that counties may have. That's all I have. So back to you, Albert. Thank you.
Thank you. And to all our partners, we are patiently waiting and we appreciate all that you're doing. Any questions of the PSC?
I have a question. For CDSS, I appreciate all the updates for the communication, especially on the shutdown. In the event that we do not have information, not even, let's say next week, is there going to be a partnership as to sending information out to our customers to let them know that there's a potential delay in benefits?
Absolutely. So we are developing a tiered outreach strategy at which the first flag has been provided. We've worked with the Benefits Cal team to post a informational banner informing customers of the potential risk of benefit access limitations for November. And that message is also displayed on the EBT cardholder portal as well. We'll be refining that message over time as we believe the shutdown may require different messaging at different points in time to provide customers with the most important information and updates that they will need, relevant to the actions available to them for benefit opportunities. So we'll be working closely to provide those messages out to not just our system partners, but keep counties informed of the state messaging, so you can opt to share the similar messaging on county platforms as well.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the PSC?
I do. For DHCS, I think the letters were to clients regarding the assets and expansion freeze may be coming out this month or next month. Did those come out already? Do we know what the content is?
I do not believe they have, but let me phone a friend and get right back to you guys.
Yeah, if we could just find out when they are to be released, if not already. And are there two letters or is it just one letter? Are they targeted letters? to specific populations. And can we see the content of the letters? I have lots of questions. I just ask them all at once.
All right, so let me phone a friend and I will try to get back to you before the end of this meeting.
Thank you.
This is the end of
This is the what? I'm so sorry.
You're too late. This is the end of the meeting.
Oh, I will still try. We will see. I will make a good faith effort.
All right.
Any other questions from the PSC? Any comment of the public? Seeing none, hearing none, we'll move to our next item, and it is to adjourn, and thank you all, and thank you, Jen, for the participation from the public, until the new year. Good one.